Welcome to the Black Script Storytellers. My name is Kevin Marable, and today we have an amazing guest with us. She is an actress. You might have seen her in the new version of The Color Purple. We have Tiffany Elle Burgess with us. How you doing, Tiffany?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so thankful that you were able to make this interview and this meeting. Is really good to meet you,
Yeah,
even though it's virtually. But
right.
yes, I'm very happy for this.
Yeah,
So
same.
thank you. Thank you. So, there's a question that I always start every interview with.
Mhm.
It's a simple question, but some might find it difficult to answer. Are you
Well,
ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. And that question is, who is Tiffany Burgess?
Um, hmm. Tiffany Burgess is a young Black woman from Nashville, Tennessee, who loves her family and her friends and is passionate about so many things from the creative arts to, the greater, broader health of our public. Um, so I would say she's a bit of an empath, but at the end of the day, she's just a grateful Southern girl from a very large, wonderful African American family. My roots are amazing. That's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Okay, I like that. And I even like that you said my roots are amazing.
Yeah,
Giving credit to the people before you.
absolutely.
So that's awesome. Um, So aside from that, because that's Tiffany as the person, and I'm glad that you answered it the way you did because I love to humanize the guests that I have on,
Hmm.
so we can see them outside of their celebrity and what
Hmm.
they do for a living. But transitioning into what it is that you do for a living, you are an actor, producer, screenwriter, and an author, and you've had roles in both TV and film.
I
You've
have.
Yes, you've written, produced, and executive produced your own projects and currently have three children's books to your
Yes.
name. That
Yes.
is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I've been busy, and that's a
Yes,
good thing in a good way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, let me ask, which of those things came first for you?
Writing. I've been writing since a little girl. I always tell this story. I used to write underneath the dining room table back home in Nashville. My mother was a retired English teacher. My parents both are really big on education. And
Mhm.
I would write short stories, children's stories. And so growing up, I would win various writing contests and always knew I wanted to write a children's book. Um, I'm a storyteller, right? It's a way for me to escape, whether I'm escaping just, the daily stresses of life or, just going into my own head and my own imagination as a little girl. So
Mm.
writing and the children's books were things that stories that I was wanting to tell and stories that I feel like our children, I mean, it transcends race, but especially for children of color, I think it's important for them to see characters in books who look like them. And
Mhm.
so that's been a very a large motivating factor for me when it comes to writing the children's book. So that was first. That came first.
All right. And so I'm going to skip ahead just a little
Yeah.
bit because we're talking about your children's books.
Hmm.
But one of your children's books you've actually turned into an animated film.
Hmm.
Uh, can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
What's the name of the book? And then obviously it's the same name as the film.
Hmm. Yep.
Mhm.
Skin Like Mine, and the film is Skin Like Mine animated short film. It's an animated short film. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And what was that process like? First, writing the book, and then second, once you knew that you were going to turn it into an animated film, can you walk us through the steps of writing the book first, and
Yeah.
then the steps of once you knew that it was going to become a film?
Yeah. It was. So again, I've been writing forever. Had taken even in that Emory creative writing and publishing course years ago, and like anything, I'd set it aside, would come back and pick it up. When my grandmother passed away, it really served as the catalyst for me to keep going, right? Not wasting time, what I felt like was wasting time and talent and God given gifts. And it just gave me the motivation to put it out there and really get the story told. It took about 9 months from developing the book. I worked with Good Stuff Publishing here in Atlanta, Georgia. Tiffany Good, shout out to Tiffany and her brother. They're amazing. They're artists. Tiffany was a she's a used to be a Turner executive, and they had a publishing company, and she saw the book for what it could be, right? The story and the importance of talking about colorism at a young age. And she just helped me go through the process. So I'm writing, and then we're editing, and then we're interviewing and connecting with various illustrators. That's also a long process because you have an idea of what you want your characters to look like, and
Right.
as the author, you're responsible for providing that guidance to the illustrator. Like, you need them to translate what you are describing, right?
Right.
This particular illustrator was amazing, out of New York. I'm based in Atlanta. I've never met her, just virtually, all
Wow.
these years later. But she took the descriptions and she really did put together the characters and the various scenes that I had in my mind
Mhm.
on page. And then you have to go through, of course, then the publishing process. So you need to go through your book layout. What size do you want? This was a 6 by 9. Do you want a larger book, which is typically for younger children?
Right.
Um, and then just think about your platforms, the distribution, and then book signings and going around and reading to children at various schools or academic institutions, churches, etc.
Mhm.
So all of that to get to the point of actually publishing took about 9 months, and then I
Wow.
had my first book signing at the Listening Tree bookstore here in Atlanta, Georgia. Black owned bookstore, so I always want to shout them out.
Yes. Shout out to
And
Listening Tree.
yes, the Listening Tree bookstore, owned by two Hamptonians, Omar and Kimberly Finley, and they hosted like my first book signing here in Atlanta, and it was just amazing. And then I look up, and a few months later, the book has landed in Essence magazine, and it just kept
Wow.
going from there. So it was a blessed process.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
I'm sure it was an amazing process, and then
mhm,
also to see it go from book to film, and then walking through that process of seeing all of the animation come to life, all your characters come to life, and the story told visually, to where you could actually put it out there for
yeah, yeah,
um, both adults and children
yeah,
to see.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's a lot more difficult. Animation, I mean, gosh, shout out to animators. And this is
Yeah.
just a short film, right? This is taking 35 children's book and putting it into like 7, 8 minutes. So I'll credit Stanley Autry with helping to push to get it done. And when I would shut down because it's such a long process, and it took months and months and months and a lot of iterations
Yeah.
and a lot of like wonderful times, but also frustrating times, because animation, and this is 2D. It's not Pixar, right? And it's also expensive.
Right. It's
Animation is
very
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. And
Yeah.
so he and I just worked and worked and worked with the animators to get it to a place that we felt comfortable with and we felt like could convey the story the way I really envisioned. And
Mhm.
then I came back and served as a narrator to help guide the story along.
Wow.
And it took months and months and months, but it's been well received. And it's like you said, to see it, the story come to life is just it's such a good feeling, and then watch children and adults alike react to it, because colorism also transcends age, and a lot of people have dealt with it in their life and in their families. And so we've gone to so many screenings where people have reacted to the film strongly in a positive way and talked to us about it. So the process, it was worth it, but it definitely can be long and a bit trying at
Yeah.
times, and expensive.
Sure. Yeah. Probably takes a lot of patience, a lot of, like you said, a lot of iterations,
Yeah,
um, and just seeing what fits, what makes sense, and going through the whole approval process, and then also, as you said, doing the voiceovers and the
mhm,
narration.
yeah,
A lot of moving pieces.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And we
and
found great talent here in Atlanta. The actors that did the voiceovers and voiced a lot of the characters are Atlanta-based actors from the Premier Actors Network, and they were great. and just even going through that process of sitting and isolating and doing that voiceover work, which is a talent and skill, by itself,
Yeah.
um, just takes time and getting the right pitch and then putting that to the actual animation when the characters are talking and how they're moving. There are a lot of different moving parts to developing an animated story, but it's exciting when it's done. You feel
Yeah,
like I
for
felt so
sure.
accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, because you get to see the full accomplishment of your efforts. Um,
Right.
but then not only that, you're also amazed by seeing all of the moving parts come together, and
Mhm.
you know what that process was like, and to finally get it to the finish line to where it's fully produced and ready to go, and you want to be able to share it to the world. So that it's like it brings on a whole new level of excitement. On top of you having the book, but now you also have the film to go along with the book.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
pretty awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I know we skipped ahead, and
Yeah.
there's a few things that I want to highlight about you. Um, and I'll start with the fact that you are still working in the public health sector
Mhm.
while you're doing all of this. You wear many hats within the industry, and you're still accomplishing a lot of those dreams. But you are also still um, one foot in the public health sector.
Mhm.
Um, why why do you feel that it's important to continue down that path?
Um, I have bills and a mortgage to pay. That's just the full transparency. But also, I went to school for public health. I started down the med school route and ended up in public health. And I am passionate about health equity. I'm very passionate about social determinants of health. I'm
Mhm.
passionate about my people and what disproportionately affects us. So, chronic disease prevention, in particular, diabetes, hypertension. But I've done it for years. I've done it for 20 years, right? Fresh out of grad school, and I've always been a creative at heart. I've always had a creative spirit. Um, my I use both sides of the brain, and I have always done that, and I do credit my parents with that. My mom's degrees in English, and she very much poured into us the importance of like reading and your writing and just
Mm,
being well versed. And then my father's degree is in biological sciences like mine, and he would help me with science projects, and he's very big on just the anatomy of things. And my brothers and I have three older brothers. I feel like we just got the best of both worlds. And so I do have a passion for both, but all
mm,
things creative just give me so much. It's a different type of energy. It's a different type of accomplishment,
right.
um, that I feel like I have, with with the creative world. And so would I love to be able to do it full time? Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, but you have to think about the feasibility when it comes to just all the adulting that takes
Yes,
place. So
absolutely.
thus far, God has blessed me to be able to balance everything and wear the many different hats. And it's never a dull moment. Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I'm frustrated like anybody else. I know a lot of us wear a lot of different hats,
Mhm.
but it's worked out thus far where I can carve out time to really nurture my creative side. And maybe
Right.
one day I'll get a big check and then I
Yeah.
can walk away kind of like, with a smile on my face. I've
Right.
done
It's
my
coming. It's
part.
coming.
Thank you from your mouth to God's ears.
That's right.
Man.
I like to highlight these things, and I love your transparency about it because I want my audience to obviously be able to see the reality of what it's like to be in this business and to get into this business. It's not just a flip of a switch and you're on. There is a
Right.
lot of trial and tribulation, and a lot of you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, and you just have to know how to continue and balance and make it all make sense, through the
Exactly.
process.
Exactly.
Um, so not only do you have a bachelor's degree from Hampton,
Yes, the real HU, I too.
you also have a master's degree in public health from
Mhm.
Emory.
Mhm.
Um, but you just could not escape the artistic and creative nature in you.
I could not like I would write in the evenings after grad school and then right after grad school. I love that Emory does this. They would allow alums, they would give us a discount on these evening at Emory courses where they would bring in like these SMEs, these experts. And I signed up and paid for the creative writing and publishing course. And this was like years ago, 2007 or something.
Mhm.
And I would go to work during the day at the hospital where I was working in downtown Atlanta, and then I would come go to my class at like 6:30 to 9 p.m.
Mhm.
Right, and it really helped hone my skills. I'm in there with a lot of other adults and public, I'm not public health professionals, but just adults and people who had other careers
Mhm.
and the age range too. Like I was 27, 26, but then there were people as young as me and in their early 20s to like in their 40s, and
Right.
everyone was just like following a passion, chasing
Mhm.
a dream. One might have retired, one was in the middle of full career, but they
Uh-huh.
were like, I am a creative at heart, creative spirit, and I do feel like you have to hone the skills. So like
Right.
I same from acting class, like taking acting classes on Tuesday nights from like 7 to 10:30 at night, right? But it
Mhm.
gives you an opportunity to really hone that skill, hone your improv, your, character development. And so you put in the work, and to me it's like an outlet too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
After a long
Yes.
day of professional work, sometimes you just need to decompress, however that looks for you. For some folks,
Mhm.
it's yoga. For some people, it's gardening, pottery. I know people own full businesses outside of like their other, professional jobs. And for me, it's just all things creative. So,
Right.
hmm
Yeah. That's great, man.
yeah,
I just love the fact that you've figured out a way to keep going, and you're not letting it stop you, but you've still been able to accomplish so much in the process. Um, so
trying.
yeah, I definitely commend you for that, for
Thank,
sure.
thank
Yes.
you.
So I read that you launched your acting career through the Premier Actors Network, and you've also mentioned it
Mhm,
during this interview.
mhm.
What is the Premier Actors Network, if you don't mind explaining
Sure. So we call ourselves, the hashtag is, I love the hashtag, is PanFam, but Premier Actors Network is owned by Dwayne Boyd, and he's an acting coach, an actor, a photographer. He's all things creative. He's one of those people who wears a million hats. And I went to the class with, I mentioned earlier, my, my partner Stanley and I went to the class, and he was already an established actor, but he was an engineer by day and had all these things he was doing. I was the writer. I'm behind the scenes. We've already, shot flipped, and flipped is done well. And we've already worked on all these other projects. And when I say we, I'm talking about my
your
College Street
partners?
film partners, Jack Manning III and Lawrence Law Wofford. So I
Wow.
get to Premier Actors Network, and I'm in these advanced acting classes. And the first thing I would say, it was like, I'm not an actress. I'm just here to observe. I'm a writer. That was there. They still clown me. My friends from Pan clown me because they were like, Toonie would come in and be like, I'm a writer. I'm just here to observe what actors do and to support him. And then I just credit them for letting me learn and helping me get out of my own way and
Mhm.
seeing something in me that I had wondered about but had not really explored, right? And
Right.
so the class and my coach and even the other team, like folks there, Larry would help. His name's Larry Ram. He would help teach class. Tondi, like everybody, Selena and Keisha and Joy and Kristen, like so many just dope actors here in Atlanta. And they poured into me. They helped me believe in myself. And I remember Dana is an actor that came up to me and he was like, "You don't see it, but we see it." He was like, "I see Issa Rae vibes." I was like, "What?" I
Right.
love Issa Rae, right? I was like, "You better get
Right.
away from me with that." Like, I mean, then I'm so excited, like, and then it's intimidating, right?
Right.
So Pan Fam helped give me the training and confidence I needed to do an acting showcase through Premiere.
Mhm.
And then I got invited in for an audition to be represented by People Store, amazing talent agency here in Atlanta. And
Okay.
I auditioned in a room full of people, and I left and I just felt good about myself. Whether they signed me or not, I gave 100% because as a writer, I also feel like I understand character development and I know what I want to bring. So I tap into that. And then I was home for Thanksgiving and they were like, we want to sign you. Welcome to the People Store Agency. And
Wow.
it's
Wow.
taken off since then.
Yeah. No, and to that point, my very next my very next thing
Yeah.
is your big screen debut was in The Color Purple. You played Olivia, which is Celi's daughter.
Yeah.
Um, can you talk a little bit about your experience playing Celi? I mean, playing Olivia
Yeah.
in The Color Purple, and then also what was life like and your experience like on set?
I mean, it's surreal playing. I love The Color Purple. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like The Color Purple speaks to anybody who really wants to listen and hear its messages. I mean, it's Alice Walker. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning book, right? But we
Hmm.
know it's a staple in the Black community.
Right.
I mean, I loved it since I was young. But like, my mother's an educator. She would let my brothers and I, she would expose us to like I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, those books that were kind of controversial. She didn't believe in like banning, especially Black books. And
Right.
so I watched Color Purple at a young age. And then things that I didn't understand, like even Celie and Suge's relationship, she helped me understand. And then I start to watch more and more. And as I got older, because everybody has a lines, I got my favorite lines from years of watching it. And so it's iconic. And
Mhm.
then when I got the audition for Olivia, I was just like floored. I knew I wanted it. I also knew there are a lot of other actresses that want it and they are I'm sure looking at. And I
Mhm.
submitted my audition. And from a religious standpoint, I put it in God's hands because I do truly believe that faith without works, but once you do your part, what's meant for you is for you.
Right. It's meant for
About
you.
3 weeks later, I got a call from my agent, and he was just like, "You got the role of Olivia. Welcome to The Color Purple." And he and I both were like laughing, and I just kind of screamed for a minute. I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, like we are so proud of you over here at the People Store."
Yeah.
And it took off from there. You have rehearsals and it's still during kind of COVID because this was early 2022. Like
Mhm.
this film was like 2 years in the making. And even before I came on board, it was way before then in the making, right? But
Right.
um you have your rehearsals and your COVID testing and your fittings. And for me, everything was just wonderful and great energy. It really was. It was like being at a Black family reunion sometimes and meeting some of the cousins that you never met before, but still
Right.
feeling that connection. That's how I felt when I met Sierra, who plays Nettie, and I met
Yes.
Fantasia, who plays my mother. And my I mean, Terrence J. Smith plays my brother Adam from day one, sitting in
Mhm.
the first room with him before we went through music. I was just like, Tiffany Elle Burgess told me Terrence J. Smith, and I'm like, oh, brother, and we just connected. We felt like we kind of look alike. We're looking like our eyes and things like that. We were
Yeah.
like, good job with casting, even with like our skin tones and all of that.
Yes.
And then I met Ava Arthur, who is just an amazing actress, and she plays Abena, my sister-in-law. And just we're all in rehearsals together. And my favorite person, besides the folks I named, is just Coleman Domingo, who plays
Oh,
Mister.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just a dope soul. And he's not a fake dope soul. Like he's just, from what I experienced, he's a dope soul. So he deserves all the flowers and the love that he's getting
Yes.
because his energy on
Yeah.
set was just so inclusive.
He
And
absolutely kills it. He gives a master
yes,
class with almost every role that he plays, especially Rustin.
yeah,
And there's a few more. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I know
yes,
he was in there. And also Euphoria.
Euphoria. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had I would say, I remember talking to my acting coach, and he was like, "You've had such a wonderful experience. And for The Color Purple to be your big screen debut is just insane, right?" And I was like, "It is."
Huge.
I'm hoping it's just only up from here.
Yes.
It's like, where do you
Absolutely.
go from here? But still, it's pretty for your debut, but it's still, I'm hoping it's just only up from here.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a big line to put on your
it is.
resume. Yeah.
It is. It is. And the role, though, it's like at the end, but it's still so powerful.
Yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
you're mentioned throughout the film, and Felicia Pearl and Posse sings the song "She Be Mine," and she was another super wonderful person to meet, and um, she that song's about Olivia, right? So it's like you see
Right.
all these things that are alluding to your character and Adam, and then here we come at the end. We're hoping that it evokes emotion. I've been told it does,
Mm,
um, and that it's a scene, especially under that big angel oak tree, that just really speaks to folks, speaks to people, and
yeah.
ties up the film nicely.
Yeah, no, it really does, and I personally love the film. I know that there's some people who didn't really like it, but I don't think that they really gave it a chance because it's
Hmm.
a new adaptation and a musical, um,
Hmm.
and it also came at a time to where there's a lot of things going on. Holiday season, sometimes we can get people out to the theaters, but it doesn't always pan out the way we want it to. But
Right.
I definitely think it's a great movie to watch. And I think you should watch it because it gives a brand new and a fresh take on the story, and I personally enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the music as well.
I'm
Um,
so glad to hear you say that. I'm
yeah,
like, the music, the dancing, like
yes,
all
yeah,
of it was just so. And I tell people it's not a remake. You can't remake the
right,
1985 version. This is the 2023 version of the Broadway musical. I don't
yeah,
know how people miss
reimagining,
it's a musical. It's like it's right. It's
yeah,
reimagined. I'm like
yes,
musicals. You got La La Land. You got all these musicals that have like been out there. This is a
mhm,
musical, but the music to me is just in my opinion, is just like flawless. I mean, you have Danielle Brooks and Fantasia, and you have Taraji,
right,
you have people just, Corey Hawkins, that are just singing their butts off, that have been on Broadway, that are just like, then you got the dancers and just the energy, and then you're bringing the emotion and
mhm,
just the overarching, in my opinion, story of forgiveness and redemption. I
right,
don't know. To me, it's just like, okay. It's when I saw it for the first time in LA at the premiere, I was blown away because I didn't
right,
know what made the cut and how it looked. And Blitz, I was talking to the director Blitz at the after party at the premiere, and he was like, "It's your first time seeing it. Did you dig it?" And I just thought his question. I was like, "Did I? Are you? What? This is amazing. You did your thing. This is iconic. I dug it,
yeah.
with hands down."
Blitz definitely did his thing, and that was going to be another question of mine. Is what was it like working with Blitz? But I can already imagine, what that experience was like. I'm sure it was amazing to see him actually put things together and see his vision come to life.
Yeah. And I think this is his big screen directorial debut.
Yes, it is.
And I know he did Black is King, and like he's
Mhm,
a musician also. He has a million hats, but
mhm,
he did not care where you were on the call sheet or, BG as far as background or anything. He's just very inviting. I think
mhm,
he is brilliant and is going to go very far
right,
because he will come to your trailer and talk to you about what he's looking for from your character, from your performance, what the studio is looking for.
right.
Um, and I don't know how other directors behave. I know some folks who've been on some pretty large movies, and that wasn't their experience.
Mm,
But the PA came to me and was like, "Bliss is on the way to talk to you." I'm in my trailer, I don't know, drinking coffee, and 2 seconds later, he's at the door like, "Hi," and
right.
just that energy that he brought, and then to see what he put out, what he put together with everyone else, and just even thinking about the location scouting and the set design.
Yes.
I feel like it should have garnered just a lot of just awards from that perspective, from his directing alone. But he was amazing. He was really kind, and
Mm,
we're on. They did a behind the scenes for like HBO Max or OWN, and my best friend sent me this clip of me and Blitz hugging after the scene, and I said yes. He had hugged. You see him hugging Fantasia, and he comes and hugs me, and I then hug. Oprah hugs Fantasia, then I'm hugging Oprah, who again another person who
right.
was just giving and accessible, and
Mhm.
just she tapped me on the shoulder when we yelled cut because we had reshoots in February or March of 2023, and she
Okay.
was like, she gave me a hug and she had tears and she was like, "Good job." And like, who gets a good job from Oprah? I was like,
Right.
I stands for no Oprah bashing because Oprah has been nothing but fabulous to me, in my opinion.
Right.
And I'm from Nashville. She's from Nashville, and
Hmm.
I feel like her story is very inspirational. She went to Tennessee State University where my parents went, and my family is gone. So I feel like she is just a force to be reckoned with. But her energy and accessibility and the kindness that
Hmm.
I experienced that she exhibited on set more than one day. It wasn't like a
Right.
quick second. Was just, in my opinion, noteworthy
Mhm.
for a person of her stature.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, any of the negativity is just people who don't really know who Oprah is as a person, has never been in the same room or space or air
Hmm.
as her.
Hmm.
Um, and everybody has their own opinion,
Yeah.
but Oprah and Blitz, good job on the film. Film is amazing. Um, like I said, I liked it.
Good.
Um, and I'm so happy that to actually be speaking to somebody who is in such a amazing film for
Thank
sure.
you. I thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. You appeared in another award-winning short. This one is a short, but Glitter Ain't Gold, which was produced by Common.
Mhm.
Um, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Christian Christian Nolan Jones is such a dope director and creative here in Atlanta, and you got Maya and just the whole team. We shot that in 2022 or gosh 2021. I can't. My years are running together, but the film is like an ode to Atlanta, in my opinion, and it's coming of age.
Mhm.
And I got same thing, got an audition, submitted my audition, got a call that I got in the role of Miss D. And it was just such a like fun throwback type of set because it's like you think about the 90s in Atlanta. And
Uh-huh.
he's directed some episodes of Rap Ish that were on Issa Rae's show that was on HBO Max.
Mhm.
And he's just got his finger on the pulse. And it premiered at South by Southwest and it's won awards. And it's well, just another eye, the kind of like that Blitz eye, like the way he meshed some of the things into the film and some of the stills and the different, just the way he did it, in my opinion, was super, super dope. And loved being a part of the film that's EP'd by Common and a couple of other folks. And Priya Ferguson, who is part of, she's a cast member on Stranger Things.
Okay.
Alfred Lewis, they're the stars of it, the two young stars. If
Uh-huh.
you got to watch those two, they're shooting up. They've already shot up. As far as just their
Their
talent
careers.
and
Mhm.
opportunities that have become available to those. I see them as children. They're not children; they're teenagers. But they were just professional, great
Right.
to work with. But I love that old school, old like that ode to Atlanta because I'm not originally from Atlanta. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, but I've
Right.
lived here long enough to like know some of the, and I have enough friends from the A. So
Mhm.
to like watch him bring it to life and tell this story of like this little boy's first little heartbreak, I mean, it was well done. Yeah, well done. Shout
Yeah.
out to Glitter Ain't Gold. Yeah.
Yeah. No, shout out to them for sure.
Yeah.
So you also landed a role on an episode of The Wonder Years. My which congratulations on that. But my question is, do you have any more TV roles lined up?
I audition all the time. And it's funny because, like you said, nothing happens overnight. To some people, it still may be overnight for me because it's like the, I think I was signed in 2019 or something like that. But you look back at what I've auditioned for, it's I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's hundreds like in my emails and everything that comes from the agents. So I audition all the time and I'm hoping, as things become more available, the strike kind of shut things down. So some things are a little delayed, but I'm hoping to be back on the small and big screens. And in the meantime, writing and pitching and getting ready to produce and shoot with Tyler Street Films. We've got a super awesome opportunity and idea that has gained some traction, and we partner with a pretty big studio in trying to get that pitched, and that would be a show, a series.
Now, is
that
that?
we're passionate about.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't mean to
go
cut
ahead.
you off. But is
Yeah.
that series called Shadow Acting?
That is actually a film, short film.
Okay. Okay.
Shadow Acting is our last short film that is the brainchild of my partner, Lawrence Watford.
Okay.
And Jack and I, as a team, we support each other's visions and goals. And so we're producing it as Tyler Street Films, but Law um, wrote it and directed it. He directed Flipped and Catharsis.
Mhm.
And he shot it in New York. So Jack and I are here in Atlanta. He's in New York. And we have not, we're trying to make the circuit right now with all the film festivals and the big ones, especially. But that one is in the can, but that is more so, I would say, from a production standpoint, Tyler Street Films, but creatively, from writing to casting to directing, that's my partner Law Watford's project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Let me ask you about a question about Tyler Street Films.
Mhm.
What is the meaning of the name?
We all are Hampton University alums, and we were all there in the 90s, early 2000s. And when we were there, Tyler Street was the main street of our, like, on our
Okay.
campus. And it's
Okay.
been renamed. I think that street is now like William Harvey Way, but we were there, it was Tyler Street. And we had other names we were throwing out there because it's an ode to HU, to our home by the sea. And a couple of them were too close to other production company names, and so we fell in love with Tyler Street. We fell in love with the logo and just our, how we present our overall production company. We say, you think Fuji's or City High or anything
Yes.
where you have like I'm the lone, the only female in my crew. Um, but Tyler Street just worked,
Right.
and Flipped came out in like technically like 2017. It's almost
Mhm.
like 7 years ago. Just time flies, and it's opened up a lot of doors.
Right.
And the guys and I have a lot more that we're working on, but our goal is prayerfully to get this series show sold,
Mhm.
and then you'll hear a lot more from Tyler Street. That's our
Okay.
goal.
So you said the series is in the can, or is it the
The
whole
short
series
film,
in the can, or is the pilot in the can?
short film is in the can. Shadow acting.
Oh,
The
I'm sorry.
series is in.
I,
Yeah, no
I thought
worries.
you said I thought you said it was a series.
No, shadow acting is a
Is
short
the
film,
short, right?
and
And
that's
then
in
so,
the can.
right, and then
Yes,
the series
it's
that you're
something
pitching.
totally different.
Okay, but you're
We're
pitching it through film festivals right now.
Nope. Through
Oh,
the film festivals are only for the short film shadow acting.
okay.
So
I'm sorry.
like our short, no, you're fine. Our short films are Flipped, Catharsis,
Right.
Skin Like Mine, um, shadow acting, and then aside from all of our short film work, we have a series that we're working on that we're pitching.
Okay.
And so the pitch process is a lot.
Hmm.
Sizzle reels and show bibles and meetings and just trying to get it off the ground and get somebody to bite. And then even then, it's a whole nother beast. But we are very committed to telling Black stories
Yes.
and having our voices heard. So we are grinding, and this has been a while that we've been working on this, but we're still very confident that it will be sold
Mhm.
and you'll be able to see it on some major network. That's our goal. It's a
And-
series, television series.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about your partners real quick, just to kind of give Tyler Street Films a full plug of who
Yeah.
you are?
Tyler Street Films is, we like to say, three Hampton alums, three dope storytellers, one production company, right? But
Mhm.
my partners are Jack Manning the third. Jack is the brainchild behind Flipped, and
Okay.
he is the one that pretty much brought us all together. He's a photographer and a visual artist by
Mhm.
by trade. Like, that's his profession. But he's always been all things creative. And this dude has pictures and everything, like Vogue, you name it. He shoots everybody. Ruth Carter, like he shoots
Wow.
everyone. And he comes up with the craziest, dopest ideas. And he was shooting me for the book for Skin Like Mine for my book release. He knew
Mhm.
I wrote, and he trusted me to write the screenplay for Flipped. He's like, I got a dope idea. I just need somebody to write it. I'm not a writer. And I was like, all right. And we got together. Then we brought in Law, who had gone to film school after Hampton, who's worked on a number of things in New York, from Law and Order, SVU to I Am Legend, etc. And
Wow.
Law was just Lawrence. His name is Lawrence Wofford. We call him Lawrence Law Wofford.
Mm,
He's another just dope storyteller. So the three of us, we like to feel like Tyler Street Films, we have all the bases covered. Directing, Lawrence, but Jack also can direct. All things creative as far as coming up with an idea, DPing it, just visually, kind of like what Blitz did with the color purple. That's
mhm.
Jack because he's also a musician, and
Wow.
so he has that.
Yeah,
And
that
then me, I'm the
visual
writer,
aspect.
the
Mm,
acting. I'm the for Split. I was the wardrobe. Like yeah, we were doing. You can
everything.
imagine it with
Yeah.
Indy, but
Yeah.
and it just works. We have a mutual respect for one another. We have a mutual respect for each other's ideas, and we literally balance each other out. And you should see our phone pinging. We have our group text, and I don't think I go a day, maybe 2 days without talking to the guys.
Okay.
And I appreciate their wives. They both are married, and they know me. I appreciate and adore them, and being supportive of just our brand. And so
Right.
there's it's an LLC,
Mhm.
and we are committed to making a name for our production company and highlighting voices of color and stories about people of color.
Absolutely.
Um, and some of them are gritty, some of them are difficult, but that's our commitment. People were like, "Hey, are you guys gonna do anything funny or like a romantic comedy?" I was like, "Oh, now think about it. A lot of our stuff is kind of like in your face, make you cry, harsh
Oh,
reality." I was like, "Yeah, but we got other stuff in us."
right. Right. But it's good to touch on some of those realistic aspects of life and not shy away from them because that is life. There is we all go through things in life, and some of them are very traumatic, whereas sometimes they may not be as traumatic, but it's all a part of life, and we all have different stories, and we all have a story to tell. And that's the beauty of creating film, short film, and doing creating stories for TV as well. Is to be able to portray a lot of the things that we all go to. It's the relatability of it all.
Exactly.
And um, with that being said, I love the fact that you guys are actually telling stories for people of color and actually providing a window into the life of and the relatability of people of color
Yeah.
for TV and film.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to kind of highlight Tyler Street Films, what it is that you're doing outside of even your acting career. You're still taking time to tell stories, for us and about us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That will always be my part of my, that will always be a priority for me.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I do a little research before I have all of my interviews, and I noticed that you have um, some special skills. And these special skills happen to be martial arts, kickboxing, and boxing.
Oh,
I know you probably didn't know where I was going
right.
with
I was
this.
like, I wouldn't even call those really. I enjoy it.
Okay.
I am someone that years ago, ex-athlete, played ball for years. So boxing used to belong to a gym for like 5 years here in
Mm,
Atlanta, and it was a mixture of like the martial arts, the kickboxing.
right.
To me, it's a great way to relieve stress, to stay
Yes.
in shape, to learn the proper way,
Mm,
proper stance, proper punch, uppercut, jab, and like really learn those combinations. And it's just something I enjoy.
mm.
And so I took a break from that. When I can,
Okay.
I'll play pickup games of basketball. It's been a while, but like in
Okay.
LA Fitness. And just like general, just staying healthy. And maybe that's also just part of being a public health professional. And knowing that that's you got to keep your body moving, you know 80-90% of it is what you eat, of course, and like drinking your water and all of that. But because you can't, someone just said you cannot out exercise like you're a bad diet, especially when you
Right.
get to a certain age.
Yes.
But exercise and movement and physical activity is so important. And it's something that is just, for me, is the biggest like psychological therapy piece besides, keeping your body in shape. So I love it. I love kickboxing, love boxing, love the martial arts aspect of that. Love basketball. I played on a co-ed flag football team. I
Oh wow.
played co-ed
Okay.
softball for the
Yeah.
CDC for like 10 years. I love it. Love it. Keeps it, yeah, and I'm competitive.
Yeah.
So
I see
yeah.
that. That's cool. The reason why I was going to ask, the reason why I was asking that, and I brought that up, is I had another guest on, and we were talking, and he's actually a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Oh.
And we were talking about that there's not enough people of color in film that display martial arts, or
Mm.
we have a few action stars. We have The Rock. We have
Mhm.
um, Vin Diesel, and, you know, people like that and that
Mhm.
stature. But when it comes to martial arts in film, we maybe only have Michael Jai White,
Mm.
and Wesley Snipes back in the day,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
people like that. So my question was going to be, have you ever considered incorporating fighting or martial arts in your films? But on top of that, you brought up a good point. You also have a lot of background knowledge in the public health sector. Have you ever
Mhm.
thought of even making a film that pertains to public health?
Yeah, yeah. I have some friends who are actresses, but also stunts. And
Okay.
I think that's so dope. And these are
Yeah.
black women, like one in particular. So shout out to Kristen. Stunts is her thing. And I think, you look at Black Panther and
Mhm.
like incorporating, like you said, that part, that martial art piece, like all of that into film. I would love to be able to do it if the opportunity would become available.
Yeah.
I do have a film that was shot in 2020, 2021 around mental health that
Okay.
stars me and Stanley Autry, and it's called Darling Nikki. It's just
Okay.
been,
Yes.
still in post production and working
Right.
and working and working and grinding to get it to a place of where we are ready to share it broadly. But I'm very big on that, very big on, because there's a stigma, in my opinion, that we're overcoming in the Black community when it comes to mental health. Um,
Okay.
and so hoping to tell more stories from that perspective. But if there was something, like I was joking about, Love and Basketball is one of my favorite films. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I would have loved to be a part of like Love and Basketball because of playing ball for years, or if the opportunity became available to do some type of like I'd written this script for a show that's more around superhero, the Black female superhero, and I was like, oh, if I could
Yes.
play that, which would, it does incorporate the martial art and
Okay.
boxing piece, I would be so open to it. Yeah.
Well, there you go. We put it out into the atmosphere. You
Right.
never know.
You never know.
And you also, do the writing. You could also
Mhm.
come up with your own writing,
Mhm.
and bring that to life. Make it happen.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to speak on that because I found it interesting.
Mhm.
I was doing a little bit of digging on my end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what is next for Tiffany?
Um, we are still, like I said, working on the pieces of the puzzle for our series pitch,
Mhm.
and trying to really, like I said, post production of that short film around mental health. Because I would love to see that. BET Her does like a really awesome series
Yes, they
that
do.
focuses. Have you seen that? So I was like, oh, if I could get that on BET Her, get this film on BET Her, I would be so excited. Um, and then writing, and writing and writing,
Mhm.
from pilots to, I had an opportunity to write a draft for a show, right? That's on Tubi, an episode that hasn't been shot yet, but I had an opportunity there, so I can
Mhm.
really stay in tune with like my character development, my character arcs, and my storytelling from a writing perspective. all things purple. I will ride the color purple wave forever.
Yes.
So that wave, we have the NAACP awards, we have the SAG awards, we have Daniel Brooks, who's nominated for an Oscar. And so all of those shows are like in February and March. So riding the color purple high and wave.
Mhm.
And auditioning. I literally did turn in an audition before you and I got on to talk.
Okay.
I
Okay.
audition quite often, which is a blessing. Because if you don't audition, you can't get the role, right? Unless you get to a point, which hopefully maybe one day I will get to, where I don't have to audition and they just say, "Hey, we've seen enough, and that's who we want." But until then, the grind is on. So the audition process is ongoing. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so that's what I'm up to.
All right, cool. Well, just speaking to your auditioning, is there a particular role that you would love to go out for?
That's a good question. I like drama. Like
Mhm.
I like powerful films and powerful characters. I kind of like complicated characters. That's like with the short film Darling Nikki, my I play the lead and she's complicated. There's a lot of emotion there. So something that would like really I feel like further hone my acting skills, but also make get me out of my comfort zone, challenge me. I mean,
Okay.
Color Purple was challenging, and like I want more things that kind of take me into like different headspaces, right? I would like more dramatic, challenging roles become available. But at the same time, if a fun comedy became available and I could play one of those quirky like mixture like Issa Rae from Insecure. Oh, that would be or like Molly's character. I was like,
Yes.
Molly is a hot mess, but she was so fun and like she had her drama. Then she would have me cracking up because she would say
Right.
something funny. I just think Ivana Oji did a brilliant job with that character. So something like that would be also right up my alley.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Tiffany, I truly appreciate your time. The last thing that I like to do is let all of my guests give a final word, whether that be a piece of advice, words of encouragement, or a quote that they love to live by.
Mm-hmm.
Any of those three. It doesn't have to be all three, but any of those three, if you'd like to share something.
Yeah. For me, I am big on, this is from a religious standpoint, but this is something I've said for years that my aunt shared with me years ago, and she passed away in 2016. But Proverbs, for me, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. So this is something I live by, and I am a witness. It says, to trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thine own understanding. In
Mhm.
all thine ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. I'm a witness of that. Trusting in him, getting out of my own way, getting out of my head, not leaning on my own understanding, but his, and then watching him direct my paths. And if you're open to that, if you can believe in that, then I feel like like I said, I'm a witness. Um,
Mhm.
the man, the sky's the limit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And amen.
And I hit you with the verse. I was like, that's my verse. That's my verse. So,
Right. Yes. Amen. Well, Tiffany Burgess, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate your time, your patience,
yeah.
your willingness to share your experience and your journey. Congratulations again on the color purple.
Thank
I
you.
wish you nothing but major success in the future. And I would also love to have you back on at some point so we can talk more about your future projects that are coming up and also maybe get a chance to speak to the other two from Tyler Street Films,
Yeah.
and provide more spotlight to what it is that you do.
Appreciate
But with that being said, Tiffany Burgess, everybody.
it. Thank you. Thank you for having me.